There we go. There we go. All right. Ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And Jonathan, today we've got a special guest in the green room ready to go, which is a referral or a suggestion from our guest from last episode.
Yeah. Kind of work hand in hand. I mean, these guys know each other.
Yeah.
So if you listen to last week's episode, you knew all about our packaging. We talked about creating ideas that influence our guest, talking about his shock and awe box. So now we've got the source. We went straight to the source.
Yeah.
Of how you create one of these shock and awe experiences. And so we've got our friend Mark Stern, who's joining us today. He's going to share a little bit about his company, what they do for entrepreneurs, companies out there that want to create that experience instead of just selling your product or your service. It's all about selling something or creating an experience around that. So we're going to talk about
if you want to one up all the book offers, right?
That's right.
This is how you do it. So let me go ahead and read his bio, and then we can bring him in, get the crowd fired up there. So Mark Stern is a serial entrepreneur and founder of the Custom Box Agency. He leads an experience design agency that specializes in optimizing the customer journey through direct mail, enhancing the overall customer experience. His work has caught the attention of Forbes, which featured him as one of the next 1,000 entrepreneurs redefining the American dream. That's pretty cool. Before embarking on his entrepreneurial path, Stern was a top-ranked strategy consultant at Deloitte Consulting. They're a good golf sponsor, right, Jonathan?
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
The world's largest consulting firm. He's an MBA graduate from Duke University. Won't be talking football, I guess.
Maybe some basketball.
Yeah. Stern is also a 5-time Spartan trifecta holder. Hey, I like that. Got my medals right here. And not 5 times, though. So anyway, welcome to the show, Mark Stern.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, you do have the medals there. That's awesome. Yeah. You need to talk about that.
Yeah, mine was 2018. I did the trifecta. I just haven't gotten back into it since COVID. I just hadn't put in the time to actually make the effort and all that. But yeah, I loved it.
I was just as guilty as you. I literally just picked it back up this year and did my sprint in Colorado this past weekend, did my super in Austin, and I'm heading to Hawaii in August to get my beast. So that'll knock out my trifecta this year. Yeah.
When was the super in Austin? When was that?
May. So it was last month, almost a month ago. But I got
a hot week or a cool week
after COVID. So it took me a while to get my act together.
Yeah. Yeah. Austin's tough, man. It could be hot or not hot. I mean, how was it the week you were here?
It was good. Austin to me though is so this will be my 19th or 20th race coming up. And so I've done my trifecta 5 times. And this is going for number 6. And Austin every year is May is a perfect time to be here, but you have like the balance of greens and hills and mud. So it's like just a wonderful course. I don't know. I just love it.
So are you in Austin?
I'm in Austin. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm out in Lakeway.
Guys are neighbors.
Yeah.
What?
Are you in?
I'm in Lakeway. Yes, let's catch up. We need to. I'm in Lakeway.
Wow.
That's crazy.
We could have done this. You could have just come over here to the office.
I know. If that was an option, I would just come on over. But yeah, I'm in Lakeway as well. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
My office is in Lakeway. My house is in Lakeway. Lakeway is where I'm at. It's my bubble. You're in my bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a bubble for sure. Man, we'll definitely have to catch up. Yeah, I won't ask any more details because we don't want to give away house locations or anything. But
you're watching literally my neighbor or something.
Yeah, right. I mean, Lakeway's
Sean
not
and
that
I
big,
used to live in the same town, so we used to do this out of one location, and then he moved to Austin.
Yeah.
So
where are you, Jonathan? Where's home?
The Knoxville area, just outside of Knoxville. Yeah.
Awesome. I love Tennessee.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, we're excited to have you on. We were so impressed by what they were doing. Daniel and Pedro were doing with their box. And then we found out it was all you. So we were like, well, Could have saved an episode there and just come straight to Mark.
Amazing.
But yeah, tell us kind of how you, I mean, got a little bit in the bio, but kind of tell us how you got here, and then we'll get into like the box and like how you ended up with the custom box agency, and we'll get into why people might want those and some of the results you're seeing, and yeah, we'll just go from there.
Yeah. No, it's sorry, what was it?
I was going to ask Jonathan if you want to do the beverages first. We'll do a little intro.
You know what? There's a little backstory. We don't have to do beverages this week because Sean doesn't have one, and our guest is he's prepping. Sean, you're on a how long is that fast going? Seems like that's did you say 40?
Yeah, I'm shooting for 40, but we'll do 21 to 40 somewhere in there. So,
okay.
So I'm literally having a fasting tea today.
Wow.
Today's day one. So
day one.
Just starting.
No. Today's day one.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I've done 21 before, so
wow.
I know it can be done.
The first 3 days are the worst, right?
Yeah. I've already got a headache starting. So the first 3 days are the worst.
But I love me a good drink. I, for years, worked in the industry. So from undergrad to grad school, I did marketing for Pernod Ricard. So absolutely, Jameson, Malibu, Chivas, Kahlua, Beefeater, Glenlivet, all those brands.
Oh, wow.
We would develop the national marketing campaigns and then roll them out. And at age 22, they'd be like, Mark, do you need to go? We need you to go to Miami this weekend to secret shop these bars. And as a 22-year-old, if you want me to fly out to other cities to go to bars, it's like, wow. It was the dream job. Like it was the perfect job for me at that time. And it was just so cool to create a campaign and then like watch it roll out in local markets. So
that's cool.
That is cool. Near and dear to my heart. For me right now, it's a little bit of a cleanse just to get the body where I need it to be.
Oh, sure.
That's it.
Yep.
But
so when you do partake, what is your are you more of a beer or a whiskey or?
Yeah. It's seasons. It depends. So you're hitting my like gin world now. I love this. A good like Negroni for me is delicious.
Okay.
Dinners. I mean, I like a good old fashioned or like straight up, but I mean, lately it's been gins for me. That's been my go-to anywhere I go.
A little more refreshing during the summertime, right?
A little bit, yeah. And I also love the bite of a good Negroni. I don't know if y'all are fans of Negronis, but like that Campari in it, I love it. So I also like spicy. So anything that's going to bite in that way too.
Yeah,
can always be spicy.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to have you back on when we're both partaking. So yeah,
I'm having
back to your journey.
Back to my journey. So this was a quirky little world. I grew up in Alabama, and I was told that everyone was like me, that there's a natural progression to having a fulfilling life, which is you graduate high school and go to college, and then you get the job, and then you go to grad school, and you get the job, picket fences, and family, and you're great. And I followed that path to a T until I graduated. I got my MBA at Duke and graduated in 2012. I walked out with $165,000 in student loan debt and a 2-year commitment to a really big consulting firm that owns everything you produce in and outside the firm. So like any desire to start a side hustle, it's owned by the firm. And so that was just like the moment when you are like, you've spent so much money and you've done everything that you thought was right. And then you're like, this is it. I am like head over, like deep in the water in student loan debt. And I didn't see any way out. And what ended up happening was I went to this conference. I don't know if you've heard of Mind Valley. Have y'all ever heard of Mind Valley?
Yeah.
Christian Lakiani. They had this conference called A-Fest. And I had no business being there. I just saw some videos on YouTube and they're like, it's entrepreneurs meet like TED Talk speakers meet Burning Man parties. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. And it was the first time I got exposed to digital marketing, like Yannick Silvers, Andre Chaperone, Noah Kagan, all these people that I had no idea, Ryan Dice, I had no idea who they were at this event. And it kind of exposed me to this world of digital marketing, which once you get bit by that bug and then you start to realize that the corporate life is not the only way to live a fulfilling life, that there's other alternatives. I mean, I like went to every traffic and conversion, funnel hacking live, you name it. And until I realized that this was like a panacea for like me truly wanting to become an entrepreneur, it took till 2018 to make the leap. And to answer your question, how did Custom Box Agency get started? It was never meant to be the business. It was, I launched a virtual summit in 2018, because people told me it's a great way to get leads. And it drove me nuts that I was building all this digital content, and it seemed so overwhelming because I had 40 speakers and I'm just dumping it on the attendees. And so that was the time I was just like, I just want to send everyone like a publication. If you buy a ticket to this event, I'm going to mail you a publication that has the best takeaways from all the speakers. And what ended up happening was people started doing these reveals. They would show if it was a speaker, they'd show off their spread in the publication. People who attended the event would take pictures holding it. People were teaching it from it in their Facebook groups. People were keeping it. So it was this idea that something physical tied to something digital, there's something interesting there. And the next time I did it was another virtual event. I only wanted 10 people. It was called High Ticket Online. And I built a box that like spotlighted 10 different high ticket experts and helped people build their high ticket offer. And that was it. Every time someone received the box, they would do these 3 to 7 minute unboxing videos and start showing off this box that they got that was tied to a virtual event. So from there on out, I was like, anytime you launch something physical or digital, you have to have something physical because it just takes it to the next level. And so that's where it started. And it helped that COVID happened, because with COVID, I had this virtual event business and everyone was asking me, how am I doing these boxes? I killed the virtual event business, went all in on boxes because there was something that was sticking with me about this. And the business just took off, and that was it. But it was really just showing, how do we make it easier? Like the problem I think we solve is like, how do you make it easier for your people to get results? How do we remove obstacles and set them up for success out of the gates? I can send you everything you need inside of a box experience. I can gamify it. I can create a really great customer journey. And then all you need to do, show up, go through the product, and you have everything you need right in front of you. So just blending the worlds of experience, physical to digital, that's where this all started. And it's just taken off, and our perspective and the strategy has just evolved since then. But it's been a wild and crazy journey. It's been a blast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That sounds like a blast. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what is that process like? I mean, you sit down, I guess you're sitting down and talking with entrepreneurs, authors, and asking a lot of questions and doing a lot of, background fact finding on what their business is. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of legwork that goes into really coming up with the idea for their box.
I mean,
Yeah.
are all your
Digging deep,
boxes,
I guess.
are all your boxes involved as Daniel's, or like that we saw last week? Or I get the sense just hearing like it's not just going to
Because
be
it
like
took him a
book and
year, right?
t-shirt.
Like a year?
It did. And part of it was, I think that he could have easily gotten away with, and I tell him this all the time, like 30% less stuff in there. Because he was just like, no, we got to add this. And I'm like, dude, the box is great. But if you want to add it, at the end of the day, it's
Oh,
his
I
box.
see. Yeah.
But a typical box experience, so to answer your question, it is pretty standard that a typical box is about 30 to 50 pieces. So we're not in the business of swag boxes. We say swag means stuff without a goal. So stop saying stuff, give them the things that will like be intentional, really think through what do they need to be set up for success. So to answer your question, his box is pretty typical for a lot of our boxes. I mean, boxes can be any shape or size. Most of the ones that we're known for are like our small box strategy. We love boxes that are like this size where we can brand the spine, because it gets down into, I know when you read a book, you don't throw out a book, you put it on a bookshelf. So why don't we build boxes the size of books? I can say that this is box 1 of 4. I just created an open loop. If you bought my program, if you want to collect the anthology, just like Spartan has their trifecta and the different wedges, you can, it's one of the most brilliant business concepts out there for extending lifetime value. There's all different ways that you can think strategically, but I want to take up real estate in your home. I want to have a repeatable element. Think of a board game. You don't play Monopoly once and then trash it. You keep the box because it contains the experience. How can we educate people how to go through the program now and then go through it again 6 months later from now? You'll have a whole different experience because you've evolved, your environment's evolved. So there's just so much that goes into it. But our process, it's very strategic in that it starts up front where we will go through the client's business and then spend the entire day with them. Typically, they'll come down to Austin, or we can do it virtual. And by that point, we've gone deep into their business. If they have a course or a coaching program, if they have a software as a service platform or a service provider, we're going to be pretty smart before they show up in Austin. And we just basically guide them through our workshop that just starts to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the experience that we're creating. And phase 2 is we have a full team of designers. We have a large design organization, so we can design anything and bring this campaign to life that we created at the workshop. And then our final phase is, if you're ready to send this into production, we have a warehouse here in Austin, Texas. So we can, we have partners globally. We can get it produced, we can get it assembled, we can hold it, and we can ship it out globally. So we try to plug into businesses as not only a strategic partner, but now we can actually bring it to life and deliver it in market as a one-stop solution for our customers, our clients. Yeah.
Yes. Give me an idea of like your ideal client.
Yeah.
And then maybe an example of like what they had and then what you helped them with and kind of some results.
Totally. So there's 5 categories that we serve pretty heavily. The first one is coaches, people with coaching programs. Second is info products. So think challenges, virtual events, courses. Third category is software as a service. What we look for is, if you have a software as a service platform, it's subscription based. So how do I get you like sticky using the platform the first 30 days? That's the most critical point for software as a service. Fourth is service providers, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, realtors, different ways that they can engage in their local market. And the last one is e-com. Like this Activate deck right here. This is a product that's an e-com product. It's a brainstorming tool to help people lay out their customer acquisition strategy. Like e-com products are another class for us. So those are kind of our big 5. Coaches have always been one of our biggest in the online space, just because, especially if you're a year-long program, a lot of what we look at is how do you provide a clear pathway to get people in, onboarded, and the outcome as to what you're promising. So we will like literally build a 1-page roadmap showing people how they can navigate that product. And then it's basically a representation of what they're going to be going through in the weeks ahead. Samples of impact and results. I mean, with the gamut. We just had a client that came back who did a virtual event. I think that she had indicated that their show up rates were almost 20% higher than any event that they've ever done when we introduced the box experience as part of it. And they had the highest close rate on the back end. So they generated the most money on the back end for their high ticket offer with that event. We just went through the 3-day event and just said, how can we isolate and create a unique experience that gets brought to life from the box? We've had people who've done challenges that double the sales on the front end of the challenge when we introduced the box, and then double the conversion rate on the back end for their high ticket offer. We've seen higher completion rates because people don't have to print out or collect resources. They have everything in the box there. But my happy zone with these boxes is $15 to $30. They're not that expensive because a lot of it is not getting into like the Yeti mug or that item that is just really expensive for those like $80 to $120 swag boxes. It's just about giving them what they need, but seeding the journey. So seeding is a big thing from a sales perspective. How do we educate them of the future path, but only give them what they need for that first step that's right in front of them? So minimize overwhelm, focus on what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm thinking of a client I have right now that would be a perfect. She does a 2-day event every month. Be a perfect kind of thing. And then she obviously sells back in and has a coaching program. You could have a second box, I guess, for those people.
Yeah.
Totally.
Do you find that this helps with, it sounds like this would help with like retention, because that's the biggest thing is like, especially any type of membership type or continuity, implementing something like this or having a box that basically walks them through, over the course of a year. If it's a continuity program that takes them to a certain point, that's more likely to keep people involved and reduce the opt-outs, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So we say there's 3 campaigns and it's all customer life cycle.
Yeah.
Acquisition. So how do I develop a campaign? You can use boxes or mailers to acquire. So discovery all the way to point of sale. That's a campaign. Or is it delivery? You bought a ticket to my virtual event. You bought a ticket you bought my course. You joined my coaching program. It's focused on onboarding or start here to getting that initial outcome. Retention is usually recognition. How can I like celebrate you when you hit a certain milestone? Or it's about like introducing the next piece to help extend customer lifetime value. So that's a lot of what it is across the 3. But from a retention standpoint, anytime we do like a multi-box series, like this is box 1 of 4, when you join the program, that's a delivery play. But box 2, 3, and 4, that is a retention play. I love the example of the Spartan just because we've actually had something like that produced for a client that did basketball camps that we had where they earn 3 different wedges to their trifecta as a piece. But this is retention when you start to see the pieces, because I can say, you join my program, I give you a coin stand that has slots in it, and you get your first coin, but you have 3 or 4 more slots looking back at you that you have to earn by hitting certain milestones, which is all retention. When you start to think, how do I incentivize behavior? How do I gamify what we're doing to get people to want to stay active with it? So retention, I ultimately do think we are in the business of retention with what we do.
Yeah, the first time, Mark, I got that that third of a medal from Spartan, I was like, well, I can't have a third of a medal. I mean, they give you the one for the race, but then they give you the little, the piece. It's like, oh man, I mean, it just worked so well. Like I knew exactly what they were doing. I was like, yeah, I got to get the whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. Same here. It drove me nuts. John, did you know what he's talking about? I actually have it right here if you want to see what it is.
Yeah. Hold it up there.
I'll grab mine too. This is the one I got literally last weekend. Woo!
So they give you this. So.
Oh, cool.
Here's a sprint medal.
Here's the sprint medal for this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
this is the piece they give you.
It is there's magnets on the side, so like as you start to collect, they just come together. And then once you have all 3 pieces, and the rule they have is you have to do it in the same calendar year. If you don't do it in the same calendar year, you can't get it. So like this is why like setting rules is about minimizing chaos. It's a brilliant part. But when I got my first one in 2015, I signed up from I don't know if y'all remember Groupon. I don't know if it's still a thing. I don't know if Groupon's still a thing, but Groupon did an ad on Facebook. It was like, do a Spartan race. And I was like, that looks fun. And then I was like, what did I just sign up for? And never saw myself as a runner or a Spartan or an obstacle course racer, but I had such a good time that then I went for my second one. And then by the time I had 2 pieces, I was like, if I have to drag my butt across the finish line, I'm doing this. I'm getting that green wedge. Completing my trifecta. It worked though. But talk about lifetime value. Like I'm about to do my 20th race, and they have hooked me in. They put the right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old saying is like, there's 3 parts to business. You kind of covered them too, but there's acquiring a customer. There's how much getting that first sale, and then there's getting repeat sales, and then there's getting more sales per transaction, which Spartan does that too, because they have tents full of merchandise every time you go. So you got to get a new hat, a new T-shirt, something every time you go. So yeah, I can see where your boxes kind of overlap with that.
Yeah.
Big influence for sure.
So you said setting rules. Is that important for every client you work with when you're designing one of these box experiences?
Yeah. So we have a framework that we talk about with all clients. We call it the jewels, the tools, and the rules. So essentially what it means is your customer's on a journey to the jewel. So like in the Spartan race, this is a jewel. I'm on a journey to getting the medal. It is up to us as entrepreneurs to provide the tools. So this is kind of why I love the box experience. Like give them the things they need to be set up for success. Stop putting up obstacles to prevent their success. So when you do a Spartan race, all the obstacles are on the field. You don't have to bring your sandbags and your buckets with you. Everything is there. They give you all the tools you need to do the race, and then set the rules. The rules: cross the starting line, complete the obstacles, cross the finish line. Like as long as you do that, you will get it. If you're familiar with, I don't know if y'all are familiar with like the ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club Award. Are y'all familiar with that? So if you make $1 million using ClickFunnels, you get this big framed record that is their 2 Comma Club Award. 2 Comma Club has commas in $1 million. That's a jewel. So like you're in a journey to getting that. There's a lot of people who strive and desire that award on their back wall. They provide you with a lot of tools towards your journey to get there, and then they set the rules. You don't get the 2 Comma Club Award just because you made $1 million. You have to make $1 million using ClickFunnels, and you have to submit for it. So setting rules is about minimizing chaos. If we don't set rules, then people will try and set their own rules, which sometimes you look at this and go, how did you get here? Like, how did this happen from the direction they get to? So that's why, to me, rules are critical. Like, think about graduating college. There's a journey. Like, what's the jewel at the end of college? It's the diploma. Like that's the
Right.
thing that signals. It's a friggin' piece of paper that we keep for
Right.
it's probably like a $3, $2 piece of paper, if that, for the university. We
Yeah.
save
Yeah.
it for the rest of our lives, but it's a jewel. It's a token that represents the fact that you went on that journey, the journey freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and they give you a lot of the tools, the classrooms, the teachers, the books, and the rules are you have to generate enough credits to qualify for the next year and eventually have enough credits to graduate. If you don't have enough credits, you can't graduate. So they have rules too. So this idea of rules, it's a great question, Jonathan. I think it is important, but it's more important for us to maintain kind of the lanes so people don't start interpreting how they should be doing things on their own. Because they will go off and you'd be like, I have no idea how you created this in the direction I gave you.
Yeah. You got there, but I don't know how you did. You took a different path.
So what are some of your most unusual boxes? Or
Yeah,
maybe some requests that you had, you're like, I don't know if we can pull that off, and then you figured it out.
Oh God. It's so funny that you guys said there's some boxes and there's boxes that people would be like, I want to be the best box you've ever created. And like I give them exactly what they want, and the whole time I'm just like, this is a train wreck. But it is exactly what the client wants. So sometimes I've just learned that sometimes there's those clients that you build this amazing experience or you show them like 3 exterior concepts and they always choose the ugliest one. And I'm like, of all the 3, you chose that one. To answer your question, Daniel Dens was pretty intense with the ideas of influence with the light bulb inside. He had a lot going on there, but I'd say some of the craziest ones we did for a client. He wanted augmented reality. And so there was his logo spinning in augmented reality above the box. Inside the box, it was like a snow show. So think about TV channels that have no signal, that when you tapped your phone in front of it, a video affixed right there on the snow show that was a welcome. So there were all these Easter eggs that were built into it. We even created, it was a virtual summit. So we turned all the speakers into trading cards. So think of like Pokemon or baseball cards. And they were all inspired by different Marvel characters. But there was Easter eggs that were there and it looked like a booster pack. So we actually had it made in booster packs, like when you get the baseball card booster packs.
Right.
So that was in there. So there was a lot of fun elements in there and a lot of Easter eggs. Right now we are working on a box for a software as a service platform that literally has a false bottom, meaning you don't know that there's a false bottom, that at some point you get revealed that you need to poke a hole through a certain section of the bottom of the box, which is then going to disconnect kind of the panel and open it up. And there's going to be a whole nother experience that's printed on the interior of the box that you would not know unless you reveal that part of the program. And then this box, they wanted a cryptex like in, if you've seen, I don't know if it's Angels and Demons or a Da Vinci Code. And so they wanted one of those like puzzle cryptex that you kind of turn. So it's just packed with like surprises. Ours that we're about to launch, I'll send you guys one of them. But the kit that we did with Activate, I mean, this is the cool thing about boxes is if you've seen it done before, like we're going to figure out a way to do it. So the box doesn't need to be the shape and size of the ideas that influence box that you receive. Boxes can be any shape or size. I wanted a simple black box with black printing, pop a logo on the back, nothing too crazy, but I wanted to have like a custom insert, like a board game, like how a board game has a nice plastic custom insert. And this is something that I was like, how do I turn setting out your customer acquisition strategy into a board game? And so this is kind of why you see this is almost like a board game material. And this is our whole methodology around, there you go, how you can lay out your customer acquisition strategy. And we did it with all of these cards, because cards to me are interesting as a way to lay out your business strategy. And so we created a whole system that will allow people to visualize and lay out how they're acquiring customers. And then every card has a QR code that has an action plan based on that strategy. Because if you can see what you're doing, then it's easy to delegate. It's easy to say, I don't need to do that. It's easy to control your efforts or say, what else can I do to increase my visibility in the marketplace or nurture clients better? So that's kind of what this is. So this is kind of where we have fun, is that boxes can truly be anything. It's just like, for us, it's all about the strategy. This is our vehicle. We love the box as a container for the experience.
Yeah, I love the idea, like the cards and putting it on a board, because I do notice like it's so much harder I mean, it's proven, right, that physical items, a physical book is, you hold more retention with a physical book than you do an ebook than you do with on a computer screen. So I can see how like having a physical box that you kind of walk people through your steps, you know, whether it's scratch offs or whether it's, you know, puzzle pieces or whatever.
Yeah.
I can see how it's just going to be, it's going to stick a little bit better in their brain.
Cool thing about boxes is when you get a package in the mail, the likelihood that someone's going to open that versus the likelihood of someone opening an email. I don't even check my email anymore. I have someone on my team that manages my inbox. Just because coming from corporate America, email gives me a lot of anxiety because I'm used to like diving for my phone, like when I would hear it vibrate. And so that was like a big goal for me this year, was to take business email off my phone. It's still on my computer, it's still on my laptop, but it's not on my cell phone, which has been such a nice breath of fresh air. But I never check email. If you send me a package, I open it all the time. So that's one of the cool things about something physical, is you will get their attention.
Yeah, and you've got their undivided attention, especially a box for, you know, 2, 3, 5 minutes. I don't know, which in today's world, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's how do people like I get so many questions running around in my head about this whole process as I kind of scroll through some of your stuff. I'll put it on the screen here, but so for people that are watching, or if you're listening on the podcast, go over to the YouTube channel and you can actually see some of these, or go to customboxagency.com. I would think the hardest thing working with clients is like there's almost too many choices, because it's basically infinite, like what you could do. How do you keep people from getting stuck in like the design phase, or does your team? And then another question along with that: how much of these ideas are client, and how much are you and your team?
Yeah.
I would say most of them are us and our team with the ideas. The reason I say that is that, especially when you have people who are so used to digital, they don't know how to think physical, and how physical can take digital to the next level. So we've done this. We built out probably somewhere between 120 and 150 of these experiences since 2020. So we've done this. We've done so many iterations, so many box types, so many pieces. I mean, like you said, scratch offs to puzzles to you name it. We've even played with scratch and sniff, like as an element into the box. How do you evoke the sense of smell in a really powerful way? But people don't know what they don't know. And for us, all I need to know is, what are you trying to achieve? And I can start to guide them through. So my role is not to pivot you. My role is just to show you what's possible. And the other thing that you have to do is, I have to be able to hold up a mirror to you, so you understand what you're asking your customers to do. And this is the biggest thing, is that when we go through a product, let's just say you have a course, we'll index the course all the way down to how long is each video that you're asking people to watch. So I can look at you and say, hey, to go through this product, it's about 17 hours. Did you know that? So there's a way to say, like, I don't want to consume 17 hours worth of content, but I may or may not be your avatar, and your avatar may want to. But how do we make it really simple for them to focus on just the step that they need to do? And so breaking down those pieces, it could be a box or boxes experience. Biggest thing is, once we have an idea of what it is you're trying to do, it's so easy to kind of like focus the lens and at least provide clarity. And I'll tell you this, the amount of people who like have packaged up what they do and their success, but they package it in a different way than the way they do it for their customers, because they think it's easier to teach that way. It's amazing how often it's even more confusing. So to get to the heart of like, how do you do this thing? People are buying you because you've had success with the way you do it. The more that I learn how they do it, now I can recreate how they do it, which means when they're on stage teaching people how to do it, it's going to be second nature, because it's already how they naturally do it. So that's kind of where we can get into that and bring those pieces to life. But this is kind of where, we tell people really anything is possible that's been done before. We're going to try our best to bring it to life and make it happen. But everything in that sense is typically figure outable.
Yeah, I would imagine your team just having worked on all the different boxes and then flip through, your resource, all the different resources you have as far as like, printers and, little widgets and gadgets and things like that. I'm sure you've flipped through enough catalogs that there's probably somebody on your team's like, oh, I can't wait to use this thing when the right client comes along and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with the stuff that we play with, but that's also why I love having clients in person in Austin. And I mean, Sean, you need to come on. Jonathan, you need to come on down to Austin. But Sean, come to the office and I'll show you. But like to be in our what we call the CBA lab, Custom Box Agency Lab, it's just cool to see a room with tons of boxes. So as we talk, I can bring down and show examples of other things we've done. And I kind of want that excitement of I hate to use this example, but like walking into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and realizing anything is possible. Like that excitement is just so much fun. You do this all day workshops, and then you start to put the strategic element on it, and you start to realize, you can do something a lot bigger than you even thought was possible.
Yeah,
it doesn't break.
Sounds like your office. It reminds me of the Porsche room when you go in the Porsche dealership and you can design your Porsche and pick out the key fob color, that could match your brake pad color. Like just, that room is just like,
is that part of your, I mean, I would say that's big part of the process is having them in person and seeing, I mean, do they get a chance to see a lot of visuals at your facility when they come in, or do you meet, I'd say do you meet most of the people there in person, or do you do a lot of virtual calls that lead to in-person visits? How does that work?
Yeah. So typically, I mean, any sales or discovery will happen virtually. When our process, once they're like, we're ready to go, phase one, what we call activate, 2 parts. Part one is a 2-hour virtual strategy session. And part of what I like to do is I want to see the business vision. So like walk me through the big vision. Where are you today? Where do you want to be? So it's not about a product, because a box experience is specific to like a product or service level, not the big vision for the company. Knowing that, I can't tell you how often someone has come to us saying, I want to build a box in this spot. But then when we do that session, they may realize, wait, no, this is a bigger opportunity, a much lower hanging fruit. So I just need to show you what's possible, but and then a good box experience needs to not only give people the tools they need for that product, but it needs to seed your universe. So you need to be educating people from the get-go. What other products or services do you offer? If you're not seeding, then when the opportunity comes to pitch them the next piece, it's kind of like pushing the reset button every time, as opposed to, I already know at the beginning of working with you if what you offer is actually resonating with me and that you are a trusted mentor. Because people come to our office and do the workshops and are already thinking about the second or third box, and we're not even done with the first box. And so like that's true with any product or service, is that if you're setting yourself up to be a trusted mentor that's getting people results, they're already going to be thinking about the next thing. So we need to be educating them. What is the next thing from the get-go? So that's kind of what we do in that first session. The second session is it allows us to get enough intel to say, oh, can you give us access to that program? Can you give us access to that Facebook group? Because we want to go through all that material before the all-day workshop. And it can be done virtual. We have clients in India, Australia, the UK, and it just makes more sense for them to just do it virtually. And then we have clients that in the US, typically, if they can make it to the office, they love to come to the office and to be in the room and playing off each other in the room. Just fun. That brainstorming piece is
completely different. How long is how long is a workshop? I was going to say all day, but
yeah, it's typically about 6 hours. We take breaks. So they'll get there about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we wrap up about 4 or 5. But we'll take lunch breaks and breaks out the day. You get to a certain point with those all days that you have to pace because it hits 2 o'clock and you're like, let's go outside and get some fresh air and just get reset. And you get back into it. But part of how that happened is we used to do our workshop over 3 different virtual touch points, and people wanted to get it launched faster. And when you get into momentum, you don't want to stop momentum. And that's what's been cool about it, that people would rather say, let's get it all done in a day, in terms of because what you're going to walk out with is, here's the vision of the campaign, whether it's box or boxes, whether it's a flat mailer experience, you're going to see and know exactly what we're trending towards. And we can take that data and endpoint and insights and build forecasting models to say, if you hit these numbers, here's your projected revenue and projected bottom line after you take out our cost. Here's where we're estimating this box experience to be. All the things that you need that basically set up. And once they say go, because I need you to know all your numbers before you move on to the next phase, because I don't want to be surprised and I don't want you to be surprised. Then now we have this baseline that when we get into the design, we literally have a checklist of what needs to be built. And then we have a whole system we take clients through to make that as easy as possible.
How much of this comes from your consulting background, like the Deloitte and Deloitte? I guess they don't have the and anymore, do they? It's just Deloitte.
The green dot. Deloitte with a green dot.
Yeah. How much of that training has like played into your ability to kind of see these campaigns, organize these campaigns, things like that? Because a lot of entrepreneurs don't have that skill.
It's funny you ask that because I think that everything I have done, and I am boring and as loyal as you can get because I had one job from undergrad to business school and one job from business school to becoming an entrepreneur, and that was Deloitte. Beforehand was what I did in the liquor space, doing the national marketing. So that was experiential marketing. So it's like, how do you build a bottle? How do you build an experience around a Stoli bottle, an Absolute bottle? And we would do these big market activations. And then at Deloitte, a lot of the clients I worked with were travel, hospitality, leisure, or retail. So your big retailers, fitness clients, restaurant groups, hotels, and casinos. I played in that space. So that was like member experience of the future, customer experience of the future. So like, I think that everything I've done has in some way been in the game of experiential marketing and really thinking through that experience and really strong strategic lens with it. So I think that's kind of why I love the world of boxes that we've created. Is it is strategic and it is creative at the same time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I love that you said experiential too.
Yeah.
Because I think with AI coming on, I think a physical box is another way to stand out from what's going to be happening with AI.
Yeah.
100% agree. So
what do you,
changing the game for sure. Yeah.
What do you require of your, I mean, obviously you have a conversation, you have a initial consultation. What parameters do you put in place, for your clients for you to do business with them? I mean, obviously they have to have a product. They have to have, business. Obviously they have to have a product. Outside of that, are there certain requirements that you set upon them that here's the threshold you have to meet before we can do this? Or if you would lay that out, what does that look like? Usually
if you are brand new at the game, and you don't have a validated offer, I generally would not say start with box.
Yeah. Right.
If you are established, you have a proven offer, you know who your avatar is, you want to take that product to the next level. Or even if it's a brand new product, but you know who your avatar is, like usually that is, if you're a little bit more established, it typically is a much better fit for us. And part of that is like anything that we do, like I make it clear to clients that box is unforgiving. Whereas like you upload a PDF or a video, if you need to refilm the video, you can upload a new video.
Sure.
It'll be like that. Box, once it goes to print, once this is printed, if it goes to print and you want to pivot, your options to let it fly, which I don't recommend because it confuses people, or throw it out. And so that's kind of why you don't want to put the money there. I always tell clients, go conservative because you can always get more. And I don't want a warehouse that is just packed with boxes sitting collecting dust because it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve you or your customer. So it's like, go with the number. As long as you get this as a game that the more boxes you get, the less it is per unit in terms of cost. The less you get, the more it is per unit. Get the number. Like I would rather spend more money to validate and understand before I reprint. I'm probably going to change some things out rather than do that 5,000 unit order, that 10,000 unit order. And so playing smaller makes it a little bit easier to test and see feedback. And then you can always edit when you go to reprint.
Can your clients are they able to get a sample or a proof box before to look at before it goes full launch?
We 100% recommend it. I tell all clients, especially if you're doing 1,000+ units, like you do not want to move forward without a sample. So samples are pretty easy to do. As long as you just get that, it may slow down timeline by, a week or two, because you have to get the sample, review the sample. If you need to make edits, you need to make edits. But 100% of the time, if time works in your favor, like I always say, and part of it is, there's certain items that you may want to include that look cool online, but then you get it in hand and you're like, this looks cheap. So having that is like I think really, for me, it's really important.
Well, it's just like publishing. I mean, you get a proof copy of the book beforehand and you want to look it over, before you go launching it or publishing it live. You want to take a look at it and see what's the book's going to look like before it starts getting listed on Amazon.
Yeah, totally. I mean, until you see it in hand, sometimes you don't pick up on things until you get the physical.
Yeah.
Or the colors don't print in the right capacity.
Sure.
And optimize the colors. So I always say, get a brief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, even in digitally, like how when you go from, when I write copy and you go from a Google Doc to a web page, just how much different stuff looks like
Yeah.
in words that you thought were going to make sense. It's just weird how the format can totally change the feel of what you're doing.
Yeah. Same thing if like people are like, I have this digital, because a lot of people have a lot of digital assets. They don't have print assets. The amount of stuff that we have to rebuild, because when you have print, you have to assume like how the left page and how the right page fall. There's a lot of
Right.
intentionality behind that a digital PDF that you're just scrolling doesn't have that same issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the resolutions, the resolutions may not be the same, and
All these fancy logos with too many details.
Yeah, and this is why we're like we used to let clients like contribute and design their own products. Now we don't, just because what ends up happening is they do it in Canva, and like it just is not optimized for print. It's just and so we're like, we are very, very professional in the sense of we use the Adobe Suite. The team has been trained in a certain capacity, and so that just allows quality control for us.
that's really cool.
That's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Very cool, Mark. And I want to mention the website down at the bottom. What's or Sean's going to pull it up. It's
customboxagency.com.
Yeah.
They create monetizing, delicious, irresistible boxes, winning boxes, all kinds of boxes. But
any boring, when I say boring businesses, I think of, you work with obviously coaches, consultants. I'd say that's probably the big chunk of it. And then are there any just boring businesses like outside of the norm, the traditional brick and mortar, or I guess not, maybe just traditional service businesses that people think of that have ever come to the table and say, we'd be interested in doing something like this to really create an experience for our customers? Or is it mostly geared towards, people that are on a program or a coaching program or something like that?
I mean, it runs the gamut. We've worked with a lot of lawyers. We had a lawyer who, what she specializes in is trademarks and patents, which if you trademark anything, it's like a 12 to 18 month process. And so we gamified that journey, and it's also educating her people that as they go through this process, they can get a sense of like, why isn't this happening in a week? No, it's a process to get trademarked. Right now we're working with a personal injury lawyer where we're literally turning his process of how he educates clients, like the things that they need to do when they're bringing a personal injury lawsuit to the table, how to get the most settlement. Like there's just certain things that they need to do. So we are literally gamifying it as like turning his practice into a board game. We've worked with accounting firms that we've done the same thing as well. So, I mean, like one of my favorites was a credit repair company that we've been working with. Credit repair, for some people, may not be the most glorious space to be in, but just the way that we're able to, like, one, this client makes it so entertaining, and two, the box experience just plays off his personality in a really powerful way. Software as a service platform that just shows you, it may sound boring, but I think with anyone, when you start to get into it, I mean, for me, I always say the box needs to bring you to life. Like I wanted to reek you. It's probably not the best word to use, because at the end of the day, I want it to be something, hold it, you get excited. And you also recognize that I may be a forever partner of yours, or I may just be a stop along your professional journey for your company. The only constant in any of our businesses is you controlling your business and me controlling my business. But others will come and go. So this is why, like, whatever we build, you're the one representing it on stage. You're the one selling it. It's got to be something that lights you up in a way that you're excited to get into other people's hands.
I would think anybody that's offering a high ticket, product or service, this would be an enormous benefit, to get them, to kind of move them along. If you're selling a Rolls Royce, you want that experience, right? I mean, obviously, there's only so many Rolls. What's that?
That'd have to be a nice box.
A gold box.
Hand carved mahogany, something. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Both.
But I would say
voice
dentist.
acting,
You know, you mentioned lawyers. I would say dentist. You know, anybody that's like a dentist that wants to kind of
Yeah.
create that or
Into
separate
thought.
themselves. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were talking, like a mattress company, you know, they sell a mattress, they give you a sleep box, you know, eye mask,
Yeah.
lavender for the pillow. I don't know if that's more swag, but it would, it's going to enhance the sleep experience. It's going to make you more happy with your mattress. You know,
Yeah.
well,
it's a lot of ways to, yeah, it's interesting. Yours sounds like more of a journey than kind of a one thing, but I guess, you know, it
Right.
could be just about anything.
Yeah.
we can. I mean, the process. What we do is a lot more complex, but we can also do the simpler. We can do swag boxes. That's not an issue. But typically, people don't come to us for a swag box. They're like, "How do I truly create an experience?" Even with the mattress example, can we look at it and say, "Can we do a 30-day sleep challenge?" Or is there something that we can do that is getting them to do something each night and staying relevant? And it could just be something educating them. For me, like, people don't know what they don't know. If I can take you through something like what is value, that was a big struggle I had when I became an entrepreneur. Is everyone's like, create something of value, and I'm like, but like, what's value to me is not what's value to you. So like, what's value? And if value to me, the best way I can describe it is, if you can get me to stop and think about something and then get me to take action, I think it's creative value. You can get me to go, that's interesting, and then get me to take action. There's value there, but value is so subjective. So it's again, through the lens of that, what would be a value to someone who just bought a mattress? Could we create a 30-day experience that educates them on things about sleeping or things that nature that they may not have even realized or known, but created a fun experience for the.
Are you familiar with Everyday Dose? They're here in Austin as well. Do you know?
No, what is that? Is it a?
It's like a mushroom coffee.
Oh, no, I'm not.
But they have a lot of the stuff you're talking about. They do online,
Nice.
and they have some boxes, you know, just for their product. But I actually went through one of their little mini courses where they give you points, and then you can turn it in for rewards for like a tumbler or whatever.
That's awesome.
But yeah, they could take that to a whole nother level with the box. I mean, they're shipping people stuff every month anyway. So
yeah,
you know, if you're on their subscription, so
amazing. Yeah, I need to check it out.
Yeah, I'll shoot a Loom and show you kind of behind the scenes what they're doing as well. Like like they've already got it all laid out, like exactly what the kind of stuff you've been talking about, like the quizzes and the information in the game, all that stuff. It's kind of cool. All right. Well, I think that's all I got.
Yeah. Mark, thanks again for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Sean, you'll have to go by go by the
magic workshop and
the workshop. See how the sausage is made.
Going down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. I'll send Jonathan a video and make him envious.
You gotta be careful. Some of that may be proprietary.
Yeah. You just get the blurred video. Oh man, this was amazing. You
walk into the room, the whole back wall is just blurred out. This is awesome. Go check this out. It's just blurred.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, hang out. We're gonna put you back in the green room while we wrap up, and we'll be right back.
Awesome. Great.
Just a minute.
Thank you too. It's good connecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, man.
Can't wait to go check that out.
Right,
I could see your wheels turning.
Oh man,
this is right up your
you know
alley,
what I was thinking about, right? You knew exactly what I was thinking.
Well, you've got a couple things probably. So, yeah.
Well, I was thinking the golf, the swing selling for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
That would be, I mean, amongst the golf, you know, that whole experience. I could just, I've been visualizing even after our podcast last week. You know, the episode that we did last week, it got the wheels turning, and this even, you just
come out to Austin. We'll go down together.
I need to fly out there.
All right,
it's high time I made a trip to the state of Texas.
Yeah, come on out in July. It's always nice out in July.
All right, well, good stuff, man. And real quick, so we've got an episode next week. I think we're going to be doing a kind of a random flight next week.
Yeah, I got
And
a
then-
list of stuff I've been wanting to talk about. So
Yeah, it's been,
Cool
gosh,
examples.
we've had guests on back to back to back. So it's been a while since we've done a flight. And so looking forward to that. And then that's right before the, the July 4th holiday, or the holiday week after. And then we're going to take a couple of weeks off after that. And so, Sean, you're going to be, you'll be fresh off of a, I guess, fast when we come back after next week. Or
I'll be all glowing. Maybe I'll regrow my hair too. I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? Be amazing. So yeah, but we will have another episode next week. Look for it. We'll be doing a flight. Should be fun. And to all of our listeners out there, you can find us, as always, at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your favorite platforms, Spotify, iTunes. Leave us 5 stars. Check us out. Share it with your friends. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.